48 hours without sleep. That's less than 2 days, something almost everyone has experienced at least once. But what actually happens inside your body during that time isn't just tiredness. It's a measurable, documented physical crisis that unfolds hour by hour, organ by organ, and most people have no idea how far it goes. Scientists have tracked this exact process in sleep labs, hooking subjects up to monitors for the full 48 hours. What they found wasn't gradual fatigue. It was a cascade, one system failing, triggering the next, building toward a point where the body can no longer compensate on its own. It starts in your brain. Every single neuron you have depends on sleep to clear out waste products that build up during the day. Skip that cleaning cycle, and toxins start accumulating in real time, a process your brain was never designed to handle for this long. At the cellular level, your neurons rely on brief pauses in activity to repair themselves. Without sleep, those pauses never come. Some researchers describe it as neurons being forced to work a shift that never ends, and just like any overworked system, performance starts to break down. Blood flow to the parts of your brain responsible for judgment and self-control begins dropping within the first several hours. This isn't speculation. It's been observed directly using brain imaging. And the less blood flow those regions get, the harder it becomes to think clearly or even notice how impaired you already are. And here's where it gets genuinely dangerous. As this deprivation continues, your brain starts showing patterns that look strikingly similar to early-stage neurological stress, not damage yet, but the kind of warning signs your body sends before something worse happens. So what does 48 hours actually look like, hour by hour, inside a real human body? Let's walk through it together, starting from the moment you would have normally gone to sleep and ending 48 hours later, when your body finally forces you to stop. This is the real timeline. Not a list of scary facts, but the actual hour-by-hour story of what your organs go through when sleep is taken off the table completely. Hour zero starts now. Hour zero, right now, you feel completely fine, maybe even normal. This is the deceptive part. Your brain hasn't shown any outward signs of struggle yet, but internally, the clock has already started working against you. The processes that keep your mind sharp are quietly falling behind schedule. By hour 8, the point where you'd normally be waking up from a full night's rest, your reaction time has already slowed down measurably. Researchers comparing sleep-deprived reaction times to blood alcohol levels found that 8 hours awake past your normal bedtime can impair you similarly to being legally drunk. Your eyes are usually the first visible sign. Blood vessels in the eyes begin to swell as circulation patterns shift, and focusing on anything a screen, a face, a road, starts to take real effort. It's your body's earliest external warning that something deeper is going wrong. Around this point, your heart rate ticks up slightly. It's subtle, nothing alarming yet, just a small early signal that your nervous system is shifting into a higher stress state. Think of it as your body's first quiet warning bell long before anything serious happens. By hour 16, your kidneys are working harder than usual. Sleep normally helps regulate the hormones responsible for fluid balance and blood pressure. Without it, your kidneys have to compensate on their own, a workaround your body can sustain for a while, but not indefinitely. Your blood sugar regulation starts breaking down too. Studies show that even 1 night of lost sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity by as much as 30%, meaning your body becomes measurably worse at processing sugar, almost overnight. By hour 20, your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for weighing consequences and making sound decisions, is already impaired. This is the same brain region affected by alcohol and certain sedatives. At this stage, your judgment simply isn't what it normally is, even if you don't feel it. 24 hours in, a full day without sleep. Your body has now officially crossed into what researchers classify as crisis mode. Every system we just covered is now under sustained pressure, with no recovery in sight. And this is only the beginning of what's still to come. 24 hours down, and your entire body is now operating under a completely different set of rules. The connection between your brain and the rest of your organs starts to break down. Signals that normally travel instantly begin arriving late or distorted as your nervous system struggles to keep up without its usual overnight reset. Remember that small heart rate increase from earlier. By now, it's no longer subtle. Your heart is working measurably harder to compensate for the stress hormones flooding your system. Cortisol levels, the hormone your body releases under prolonged stress, are now significantly elevated, and they're not going back down anytime soon. Here's something most people never expect. Your immune system starts to weaken. Studies on extended sleep deprivation show a measurable drop in the activity of natural killer cells, the cells responsible for identifying and destroying threats in your body. In other words, you become genuinely more vulnerable to getting sick. By this stage, small physical symptoms start appearing that most people wouldn't connect to sleep loss. A slight tremor in the hands, muscles that feel weaker than they should. This happens because your nervous system is now operating on borrowed energy, and fine motor control is one of the first things to suffer. Different regions of your brain are now failing at different rates. Areas responsible for memory formation are among the hardest hit, which is why people who go this long without sleep often struggle to remember conversations they had just hours earlier. The brain simply doesn't have the resources to file new information properly. Electrical activity in the brain starts to look increasingly chaotic on monitoring equipment. Researchers describe this stage as the brain beginning to show signs typically associated with much more serious neurological stress, not permanent damage at this point, but clear evidence that something is going seriously wrong. By hour 36, you've crossed a critical threshold. This is the point where researchers start observing something even more alarming. Brief, involuntary lapses into sleep that last only seconds, but happen without any warning at all. And that's exactly where our story goes next. Welcome to the most dangerous stretch of the entire 48 hours. Starting around hour 36, your brain begins forcing something called microsleep, tiny involuntary lapses into sleep lasting just a few seconds. You don't choose when they happen. Your brain simply shuts off, whether you're sitting still or standing in the middle of a task. These episodes are genuinely dangerous because you often don't even realize they're happening. Your eyes may stay open. You might even continue a simple task. But for those few seconds, your brain is completely disconnected from conscious awareness, which is exactly why sleep-deprived driving has been compared to driving legally drunk. Your entire physical body is under extreme strain by now. Muscle tension builds throughout your neck and spine as your body tries to keep you upright and alert through sheer willpower, since the normal chemical signals that regulate energy and alertness have essentially stopped functioning properly. And now, the heart. Remember that small increase we mentioned back at hour 8. By this point, it's no longer a minor signal, it's a genuine warning. Your heart rate variability, a key marker doctors use to assess cardiovascular stress, drops into a range that researchers classify as a measurable danger zone. Your kidneys, which have been compensating since hour 16, are now under sustained pressure they simply weren't designed to handle for this long. Fluid regulation becomes increasingly unstable, and the hormonal systems that normally keep everything balanced have been running on empty for well over a full day. At this stage, your entire skeletal and muscular system is affected. Coordination becomes noticeably worse. Simple movements that would normally be automatic now require conscious effort because the neural pathways responsible for fine motor control have been operating without their essential nightly maintenance for nearly 2 full days. By hour 44, cognitive testing on sleep-deprived subjects shows performance drops that are almost indistinguishable from moderate intoxication. Memory, judgment, reaction time, emotional control, every major cognitive function has now been significantly compromised, all without a single drop of alcohol involved. 48 hours, you've made it to the finish line of this particular crisis, but your body is now operating in a state researchers describe as full systemic stress. Every organ we've covered is compromised. And the only thing that can reverse any of it is exactly the thing your body has been denied this entire time: sleep. The moment you finally fall asleep, your body begins an immediate and remarkable recovery process. Your adrenal glands, which have been pumping out stress hormones for 2 straight days, start winding down almost instantly. Cortisol levels, elevated for the entire ordeal, begin dropping within the first few hours of real sleep. Your brain gets to work immediately too. During deep sleep, a cleaning system called the glymphatic system activates, flushing out the waste products that accumulated over those 48 hours. This is also when memory consolidation resumes. Your brain finally files away everything it couldn't process while you were awake. Your heart rate variability, that danger zone marker from our 44, begins normalizing surprisingly fast. Most studies show significant cardiovascular recovery within the first full night of sleep. The researchers note that full normalization can take up to several days depending on how extreme the deprivation was. Your immune system also begins rebuilding itself. Those natural killer cells that dropped in activity during the deprivation start recovering their function, though full immune restoration typically takes longer than a single night, which is part of why people often catch colds in the days following extreme sleep loss. But here's the part that matters most. One night of recovery sleep does not undo 48 hours of damage completely. Researchers found that certain cognitive functions can take multiple days of consistent, quality sleep to fully return to baseline. Your body can bounce back, but it needs real time, not just one good night, to actually heal. If this showed you something you didn't expect about your own body, imagine what else sleep science can reveal. Subscribe, because next we're breaking down exactly what a perfect night of sleep actually looks like, hour by hour, inside your brain.